I spent 505 days underground in terror tunnels. There was no fresh air, no sunlight, no sense of time. I was weak, dehydrated, and starving. I had to find a reason to live. I had never really spoken to God before. But alone in that darkness, I began to pray.
Last month, I had the opportunity to attend Turning Point USA's big convention in Arizona called America Fest. And there was a lot that went on there. Maybe you heard about some of the speeches in the media. But the most inspiring speech given at that entire event was given by Israeli freed hostage Omer Shem Tov, who was held in Hamas captivity. He was kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival on October 7th, and he blew my mind. You got to watch this speech. We'll talk about it in a few minutes.
And today, I stand before you as a free man. But not long ago, I was a hostage in Gaza. On October 7, 2023, I was at a music festival in Israel. One moment, I was dancing with my friends, and the next, I was at the back of a pickup truck being dragged into Gaza. I spent 505 days underground in terror tunnels. There was no fresh air, no sunlight, no sense of time. Just darkness, pitch black, 24 hours a day. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. At one point, I thought that I have gone blind. The hunger was constant. I was weak, dehydrated, and starving. Many days, all I had was a single cracker and few drops of salty water. But the hardest part was the loneliness. Some hostages were held together. I wasn't. For more than a year, I did not see another hostage. No voices, no faces, no human connection. Just silence, darkness, and fear. I had to find a reason to live. Before my captivity, I had never really spoken to God before. But alone in that darkness, I began to pray. Every day, I spoke to Him. I whispered, God, how are you? How was your day? Are you okay? And in that darkness, I felt His presence. I thanked Him for everything. I thanked Him for everything. For the food, even though there was almost none. For the water, even when it was salty. For my life, even though it was in danger every single day. About 100 days into my captivity, the IDF fought just above me. And when they moved on, they left behind books. My captors brought them to me. And inside, I found a small card with Psalm 20. A card I somehow managed to hold on to, and I memorized it. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will trust in the name of the Lord our God. I didn't know it then, but while I was whispering those words in Gaza, my mother was reciting the same psalm in my bedroom in Israel, praying for my return. The psalm continues, Lord, answer us when we call. God answered us. In those tunnels, I found God, and He saved me.
It's unbelievable. You know, Omer Shem Tov was held in captivity. He was someone from a secular Israeli background. As he said, that he had never really prayed before. Let's also remember that October 7th was a Jewish festival. People who were already very much practicing the faith were in synagogue that day. They weren't at a music festival down south. And Omer's story is not unique. In fact, there's been so many stories in Israel of hostages who've come out and have reconnected with faith. Just some of the notable examples. Rabbi, who wrote a book about being a hostage, an amazing book. You should go find it. He was a hostage for 491 days, and he described himself as basically secular before October 7th. And he said that while being a hostage, daily prayer became his emotional lifeline, giving him structure, giving him hope when he thought he might not survive. Or Agam Berger, she was in captivity for 482 days. And she has spoken about observing Shabbat, observing the Sabbath in Gaza, and refusing to cook or perform certain tasks on the Sabbath as an act of spiritual resistance against her captors. And then there's the, Aviva and Keith Siegel, a secular Israeli couple. They were really from one of the secular towns that was attacked on October 7th. Aviva was in captivity for 51 days. She came back in the first hostage deal near the beginning of the war. And she said that she started reciting psalms from memory that she remembered from earlier years in her life. And she was reciting these psalms during moments of extreme fear. And later also, like what you heard from Omer Shem Tov, she discovered that the same psalms she was reciting were being recited by her family members. And her husband, Keith Siegel, he was held for much longer. He was in captivity for 484 days. And he is described feeling God's presence most intensely underground, saying that this newfound faith gave him a sense of inner freedom even when he was physically imprisoned. Now, since October 7th, it's not just the hostages and their stories and their resilience, but throughout the state of Israel, there has been a surge in faith. There's been a surge in return to Jewish practice and return to observing the Sabbaths and prayer and public events to this effect. There's really been a kind of revival going on in the Israeli population ever since October 7th. So this is another part of the untold story, sort of the collateral stories that have happened along with everything that's happened since October 7th. There's been a lot more people attending synagogue, and many previously non-religious people are openly speaking about prayer and faith. And it's one of the effects of everything that Israel has been through since October 7th.